guys, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. So glad you all are here. If you guys are new, my name is Sarah and I'm a homeschooling mom of 4 living in Tennessee, and on my channel you can find all things country living and homestead related, homeschool, and the whole 9 yards. That is what we do around here. Today I'm outside here near my little bed of red beets, and I'm going to be picking some of them, maybe all of them, but probably just some of them. And we are going to be making some pickled red beets. Now this recipe is absolutely delicious and I cannot wait to share it with you. So we're gonna go check out these beets. They're absolutely beautiful. They're growing next to my carrots, and I'm excited because some of them look to be quite big. Now here in Tennessee, we do have a very long growing season. However, it is a very short growing season for things like beets and carrots and like cool weather crops like peas. These are things that you need to start super early in the spring and then hope that they take off before the weather gets too hot. Because once the weather is hot, these cool weather crops just don't do very well. So I'm excited for these beets. I planted them back in very early March. All right, do you see the one I'm looking at? This one looks quite nice. Now I thinned these beets out. Oh, look at that beautiful beet. Hopefully you guys don't mind just a little bit of garden knowledge thrown in along the way here. But yes, I would plant these very, very early in the spring here in Tennessee. Like as soon as the ground is workable, which I mean, could be all winter for us here in Tennessee, but I usually will plant my very early spring crops the very first week in March. So these have been growing for quite some time, and since we've had a relatively long spring, they're doing quite well. Here's another beautiful beet. Now I came out and thinned my red beets when they were probably about this tall, and I thinned them out so that there was plenty of space between them. Now here's the thing, sometimes in years past I've been tempted like, oh, they're all up, they're all growing, just let them all grow. But no, if you want a larger sized red beet, then and carrot and onion, all your root crops, correct? Then you are going to want to thin them well, because they can only grow as big as they have space to grow. Oops. That being said, you know, sometimes you miss some, and as they grow, that becomes apparent. And I didn't mean to pull this very small beet, but it just kind of came up with this one. That's okay. But I would have intentionally left this one in the ground so that it could grow larger as well. This is the one that I've been eyeballing, and I'm so excited for it. Look how huge that red beet is. So cool. Now these were attached to the side, so there really wasn't much I could do. But oh, I have not seen such a large red beet in my garden since I was a young girl living in North Idaho, and the root crops would grow just amazing there. In fact, the red beets would grow almost as large as your face or your hand. They were so big. I remember my mom canning them, and one whole beet would fill an entire canning jar, quart canning jar, so that was really cool. Large one. at all those red beets. Don't they look amazing? They're so beautiful. Let's head on into the kitchen and we're gonna get scrubbing them up and canning them. All right, well, I'm back inside now. I've got my big basket full of beets. And what I'm gonna do is just take the tops off of them, and then we're gonna scrub them up real good and start cooking them in a pot, in a big stock pot. So while my beets are cooking on the stove, I have decided that I am going to try to use and utilize these beet greens. And so I'm taking the leaf part off of the stem here, and I'm going to be using the beet green. And then, I don't know, I also saw where you can use here's a bug, the stem to make like a pickle, kind of like a pickled beet green stem. So that is what I'm trying right now, and I'm just taking the green part off of the red stem, and I'm putting them into a nice cold sink full of water, cold water. All right, well, I think that our beets are done. I've been piercing them with a knife here. Whoops! Anyway, so the skin is just starting to break from the actual beet, which is similar to how you would boil and cook a potato. So it is done, and I'm going to be putting it into a sink full of cold water, and then we can peel and slice the beets. All right, I'm getting my sink with some cold water in it, and I've got some ice, and I'm going to dump that in. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn them off here. And I'm just going to take the beets with my tongs, pop them into the cold water. I'm going to want to save some of this beet water, the juice of it, I guess you will. It's all nice and red, right? I'm going to be saving 2 cups of it. I don't know that I'm going to have enough. I don't know that I'm going to have enough to make more than 1 batch of these beets. You know, you always think, oh, I have so many beets growing. But really, unless you have a lot of beets growing, it really is just probably enough for 1 batch, which is just fine, because I honestly don't know if a lot of my family members will eat these other than myself. I don't know. I love beets, and I'm not sure that they're a huge favorite with everybody else. I think Hannah would eat them, but that would probably be about it. All right, do I have all of them? Now, I didn't cook the 2 largest beets that I had because I actually want to save them and make beet borscht soup with them. And I think I will probably film that for y'all so you can see how I make that. It is a really fun recipe that I remember from years ago when we lived in Idaho, and our neighbor made this soup, and because she had been a missionary over to Ukraine. Anyway, it was delicious, and I asked her for the recipe, so if y'all want that, stay tuned, because that would be delicious to make. And yeah, anyway, back to the beets, right? We're pickling beets right now, not making beet borscht. All right, so in this bowl, I have 1 tablespoon of salt, 2 cups of sugar, 2 cups of vinegar, and now I'm going to be putting 2 cups of our red beet juice in here as well. So it's 2, 2, and 2, and 1 tablespoon. And I am just going to be whisking this mixture together. So that's 2 cups of sugar, 2 cups of vinegar, 2 cups of our beet juice, if you will, our beet liquid, and a tablespoon of salt. That's all there is to this. And I'm just going to whisk that up. And now what we're going to do is we're going to peel and slice our beets so that they are ready to go into this liquid, cook on the stove for a little bit till they're to a boil, and then we're going to ladle them into our jars. If you are doing a whole bunch of these beets, then I would probably advise that you do them outside if you can, because they are a bit messy. They're kind of like doing tomatoes, but the skin slips off so nicely. So that is what I'm going to be working on, just slipping the skins off. It's almost just like you were to blanch tomatoes and then put them into the cold water. And if you were to just be canning your beets, not pickling them, this would be a great way to get the skins off prior to packing them into your jars. You need 6 cups of your peeled and chopped beets. Maybe one year I will plant a whole lot of beets in my large garden. If you guys have not seen our large scale family garden, I can try to remember and link a few videos for you. Otherwise, just look back a couple videos here on my channel and you'll see we're growing in a, I think it's actually 60 by 150 foot growing space, and oh, it is just a lot of fun. And of course, next year, if I had it ready earlier, then I could also plant red beets in there instead of just in my little growing boxes up close to the house. But I'm so thankful for those little growing boxes because it allows me to be able to plant very early in the season. As soon as I want to, I can, because they're prepared and they're ready to go. And that's what I really, really love about raised bed garden boxes, is how early you can plant if you want to. When you're planting just straight into the soil, you have to wait for, you know, things to be right? Prepared and ready to go. All right, looks like I just gutted fish in the sink, but it's beet skins. I'm just slicing them and then putting them in half so they're kind of like this. I'm just gonna pour my vinegar, sugar, beet juice, and salt mixture into this pot. I probably have too large of a pot. Actually, I do have too large of a pot. However, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I really need to clean out my refrigerator, and all of my cooking pots are in there. I'm just curious as to how much I have of the beets. Oh, perfect. I think I was, yes, okay. I have exactly 6 cups of chopped beets here. So that is wonderful. And this is what it looks like right here. I'll show you better in just a second. I'm gonna get the stove on, and what we're gonna do is we're just gonna cook this until it comes to a nice boil. Doesn't that look so beautiful? I love it. All right, guys, the beets are now at a rolling boil, and so I've got my jars here, and I'm just going to be using these wide mouth pint-sized jars, and this is all just at a rolling boil. And what I'm going to be doing is, because it's boiling, I'm going to be putting them right into the jars. Straight away. I'm going to wipe them down, and then I'm going to be taking, oh, come on. Ever notice how when you're trying to work fast, it works against you? I'm going to be taking a hot boiling lid out of hot water there, and I'm just going to be screwing the lid on tight, and then that's it. I'm going to be setting these on a towel over here to set. My water and my beets, or my liquid and my beets are still boiling, rolling boil. If you want to, you can water bath these for 10 minutes. Okay, and there they are. Unfortunately, I don't have nearly as many of these as I would love to have, but we will make do with what we have. And I actually think that I'm going to have a few more than I thought that I would. So that's always good as well. Okay, I have enough for one more jar, so I need to find one more jar quickly here. Turn that down. Like, I want to keep it boiling, but I don't want them to scorch. Whew. All right, I'm back. I think this last jar will do me. There we go. 5 jars of beautiful pickled beets. Meanwhile, I have all of these beet greens in my sink. They're nice and crispy, and I'm just going to be taking them out and just giving them a little choppity chop. I'm going to be freezing some of these, and I'm also just going to be saving a bunch to eat, like cook up and eat with a little bit of lemon juice and salt on them, and any other seasonings like garlic that you might like. I love beet greens like that. So I'm just going to be spreading out a towel to put them on. That way they can, dry a bit. because when you freeze them, you don't want them to be so wet because they'll just get really ice crystally. Now you can blanch these before you freeze them. Blanching means that you are going to bring your water to a boil, stick your greens in for a few minutes, and then you would pull them out and plunge them into ice water to stop the cooking process, and then you would put them into freezer bags and into the freezer. Now I have done it like that before, and I have also just simply washed and chopped and bagged and put into the freezer, and these are excellent to pull out and add to soup later on, add and make green smoothies. Is anybody still on the green smoothie kick? I don't know. I remember green smoothies are always a real big thing there for a few years, but I don't know if people are still on that train or not. Anyhow, you can also add it to things that might need spinach. Trying to think what I just added it to recently. And nobody ever noticed. Actually, I guess it was Swiss chard, frozen Swiss chard that I added, but nobody ever noticed that, you know, it wasn't spinach or something. I'm trying to remember what it was. But anyway, these are great to just have on hand in the freezer. I know other people can them. I will say that when you can greens, they do cook down quite a lot. But that is what some people enjoy to do. These beet stems that I have over here, if you look up online, just look up what to do with beet stems, and you will see very quickly that there are just a few little recipes that you can pickle them, either making a brine like you would for canning pickles, like with vinegar and sugar and pickling salts. You can also lacto ferment them or lacto pickle them with salt and a water brine, and you can do that. So there's a lot of ways that you can utilize every single part of the red beet, and I just think that is such a great thing because, I mean, obviously I could take these out and I could feed them to my chickens and my goats and the cows, and they would all be happy, right? But it's so nice that when you can take something like this here and then you can feed your family so many different ways. I love fresh greens, you know, like steamed Swiss chard, kale, beet greens. I love that. Not my whole family does, but I do. And you can see that I have quite a mound of greens here, and I'll be taking care of these. So anyways, guys, I thought I videoed myself trying these pickled red beets, but maybe I didn't. So once I start editing, I'll find out. Anyway, they're amazing. They're so good. I plan on growing a whole bunch more red beets this fall if I can, or next spring if I don't this fall, but they are so delicious. I highly recommend, if you have red beets growing or if you have a spot where you can get them, you know, for a reasonable price. It doesn't take too many to actually just get one batch of this recipe, but oh my goodness, they are so delicious. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and comment down below. Let me know if you've had pickled red beets and whether you like them or not. I do like them. Alright guys, have a great one and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.